It's good to see you again. Welcome to day 2 of the Great CICO Experiment, or the Get Ripped on the Standard American Diet. Now, my channel is called Mindset and Muscle. So I know the first video was a little bit long because we had to break down what exactly the Great CICO Experiment is, how everything is going to be laid out for these videos, go over the workouts, the first shopping trip, and all of that. So we'll continue to cover and document this entire journey. However, most of these videos are going to be more around 10 to 15 minutes. Unless you guys would like to see longer, feel free to let me know in the comments if you would like to see that. And since this channel is based on mindset and muscle, the typical video layout, we're going to cover something that is going to improve your mindset. I will let you know at the start of the video where you can skip to if you are just interested in the muscle portion. But if you want to stick around for the mindset portion as well, we'll start the video with a brief mindset talk in the morning. Just whatever discussion is on my mind, we'll work through it together as a group. And then we'll go into the muscle portion where I'll cover clips from my workout. Of course, every single day we'll also be documenting exactly what I eat, how many calories that equates, how many grams of protein I eat. And every single week, we're going to be doing a check-in with progress pictures and a weight update as well. So you'll know exactly how this journey is going along the way. So to start off with the mindset portion of the video, we're going to jump into the book of Proverbs. So I'm just going to go over a couple verses. Every morning I try and read a chapter from the Bible. Proverbs is, for those of you who don't know, a book written by Solomon, who is widely credited as being the wisest man who ever lived. So what better way to start a mindset in the morning than by going through Proverbs? So every morning I try and read a chapter. Let me know if you guys would like me to go through the whole chapter in each video, but to keep it a little bit shorter, I'll just go over a verse or two that stuck out to me in the chapter that I read, and then we'll discuss kind of what pops into my mind in talking about that verse and how it applies to my life or life as I see it around me, and we can kind of discuss from there. So the verse that jumped out to me, kind of a weird one, but ties into what what's randomly been crossing my mind and is somewhat fitness related. So Proverbs 25:16 says, "If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it and you will vomit." And that got me to thinking, what are the moral boundaries on eating? So kind of a weird topic that isn't discussed too much. But the other thing that got me thinking about this was there's a scene from the Hunger Games movies where Peeta and Katniss, who are two people from like the poorest district who got drafted into the Hunger Games to fight for their district and win a big prize. If you haven't watched Hunger Games movies, highly recommend them. But anyway, so they're from a poor district and they go to the capital as part of the celebration of the games. And while there, they go from barely eating like a loaf of bread a day to survive and maybe some vegetables to this lavish, huge party with all you can eat foods, and see how the rich people and the people of the capital are eating. And so, of course, they're super excited and they're eating a lot of food. And they get to a point where the host keeps offering them more food. And they're like, well, I'm too full. I can't eat any more food. I'm completely satisfied. It was so good. And the host is like, oh, well, then you should drink one of these drinks. And so they ask, well, what are those drinks for? And the host explains, oh, these drinks will make you throw up so that you can eat more food, more of the good food. And Katniss and Peeta just look at each other like, what kind of place is this where we who are on the bottom rung of society and even people in the other lower districts barely have enough food to survive, barely have enough food to quench any sort of hunger and thirst. And here in the capital, they're eating and gorging themselves to the point where they need a drink to throw up so that they can eat and gorge themselves more. But anyway, tying back into the fitness industry, early on in my bodybuilding journey, obviously a big goal was to put on muscle mass. And I do remember I would have to eat enough calories in order to do that. I was a hard gainer at the start. And I remember several times that I would have to eat so much that I would end up throwing up. And then I remember being so frustrated. I was so bent on those goals that I would have to make the meal again and then eat it more carefully so that I didn't throw it up. And for one, was that a smart method to go about it? No, it wasn't necessary. I just wanted it so bad. I wanted it now that I was willing to do whatever it took. But looking back on it, how wise was that as well? Like, was I being a good steward of the the blessings, the gifts of food that I was given, eating so much food? And I know this is common with a lot of people in the fitness industry. It was certainly common for me, the overindulgence of calories in order to try and gain mass as rapid as possible. So it got me thinking, like, kind of what are the moral ramifications of that? Now, it's not my place to judge. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm just, this is what is on my mind. So this is part of the mindset, a part of this video. Also, cheat meals was another thing that kind of came to my mind. Where's the line on that as far as binging for cheat meals? Like, what would someone from Africa think, who has to walk 5 miles to get fresh water, who maybe has like a little bit of meat and vegetables and maybe a couple slices of bread for the whole day, if they're lucky? And then what would they think to know that there are people around the world who are literally so excited and basically worshiping and over anticipating and fixated on that one day a week where they can just eat like 10,000 plus calories of pure junk? And I used to do this all the time too, early on in my fitness journey, where I would get so hyper focused on that one day when I was dieting, where I knew that I could eat like a whole pizza, 2 burgers and fries, a pint of ice cream, a whole container of cookies, a whole box of cereal. I would just eat all these things, easily 10,000 calories plus every Saturday. And by the end of it, I was just feeling like sick and bleh. But I knew the next day I was back on my diet. So I had to make every second of that day count. So I would go back and I would have that other bowl of ice cream and add some cookies. And at that point, my metabolism was so crazy, I wouldn't really gain any weight. But again, how moral, for lack of a better word, how wise was that when it comes to cheat meals? So again, that was a battle for me, a struggle for me. And I wonder how many people get so hyper focused and so excited for cheat day or cheat meal that it almost becomes an idol, where they're worshiping that. At that point in my life, I was for sure more excited about that cheat day during a diet than I was for any sort of learning, any sort of wisdom, any sort of self-discipline. So probably not the best place to be in mindset wise. And then the last thing that was kind of crossing my mind on this whole topic is competitive eaters. So another thing that I enjoyed when I was dieting early on was watching a lot of videos of like competitive eaters, such as Matt Stoney, who's awesome dude, like makes great content, great videos. But again, tying it back into the Katniss and PETA thing, for them maybe it's a little bit different because they're making a living from it. But just sitting down and eating a ridiculous amount of food and then getting millions upon millions of views because people love watching somebody basically make a glutton of themselves and stuff themselves. Again, maybe with competitive eating, it's a little bit different because they are getting paid for it. Mukbangs, or if that's what they're called, where people just sit down and literally it's a whole hour-long video of people just like indulging in this ridiculous 10,000, 15,000 calorie meal, was always even a little bit weirder to me, because again, it would get millions of views. And why? Again, I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm not saying that this is good. It is not my place to judge. But in the mindset portion of the video, I have these things that just kind of run through my head. I don't know if you guys do as well. So I'd kind of like to discuss this. So let me know in the comment section what your thoughts on this. are. What crosses the line before we have too much of that honey to will vomit, as Proverbs says, or where we become like the people in the Capitol in that Hunger Games movie, where people like Peeta and Katniss, people who don't have nearly enough, people who are literally starving to the point of death. And here we are complaining, oh no, I'm on a diet, I'm in a calorie deficit, but at least I can't wait for my cheat day because I can eat like 2 whole pizzas and then puke. So, anyway, that's enough of my rambling for the mindset portion. That was just what was on my mind, and I just want to be open and share what's on my mind in the mindset portion. And then you guys let me know what your thoughts are on my mindset, or what topics you would like me to discuss in future mindset portions today. So, all right, let's get to the muscle. Now that we got the mindset portion set up, it is time to walk to work for a part-time day job. Don't worry, I don't work shirtless, I just walk to work shirtless. So for breakfast, since I work as a cook at this place, I had a delicious steak bowl, about 600 calories. I was supposed to get a third picture here of the empty bowl and give a cool effect of the bowl going empty, but I blew it, so oops. Then we walked home, worked on our tan a little bit more there. Afterwards, we had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. For the first time since I was a kid, everything was weighed out to the gram. Should I cut it diagonal or lengthwise? What's the correct way? Skip it. I'm a grown man. I'm just going to eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Duties of the week in this challenge, we are focusing on hand balancing and mobility / flexibility work. So I'm doing 10 to 12 sets, focusing on practicing my handstands. And right now we're working on balance. Obviously, I have the strength for it, but the balance and the technique is something completely different. So I'll put on a show or a movie. I'll do 10 to 12 sets of hand balancing, slowly progressing up to harder and harder balancing practices, and then do like 1 minute of mobility work, focusing on a different stretch in between every single set. So altogether, it's about 45 minutes to an hour just of relaxed pace, so kind of an active recovery. And also on days that I do this, I'm making sure that I get in some cardio focused work. So we already got about 30 minutes of walking into and from work, but we're also going to go on a bike ride later this evening. So was super excited for that. Even from the start of this, my first handstand attempt to the second one, you can't see because I couldn't get my feet in the picture, but a good portion of this time I was able to keep my feet off the wall. Definitely wouldn't have been able to walk or take any steps yet, but hey, we're just starting out. So excited to see leaps and bounds and progress in this as well. After that, we had our third meal. We did breakfast for dinner. So I had 3 whole eggs, 2 slices of bacon, and then my wife homemade some sourdough blueberry coconut muffins, which were delicious. So I had one of those with some butter on it. So a delicious breakfast for dinner, coming out to around 500 calories. After that, we got to go on our evening bike ride. So this was the cardio. Got the family together, uncovered the bikes, and biked to a park about 10-15 minute bike ride away. Was a beautiful day for it, absolutely shaping up to be a great time at the park, when then an emergency struck. So my first noted major side effect of this challenge of eating the standard American diet was that my gut is not used to that. I've been eating healthy and in a specific patterned way for the past 10 years. So eating this way, my stomach for the first time in forever had a stomach ache. And you can see pedaling towards a restroom as fast as I can possibly go, so fast that my wifey even flipped the camera upside down while recording. So I am now pedaling upside down super fast to the store so that I can get to the restroom. Got there just in time for me to lock up the bikes, get baby Z off of there, pass it off to her, and rush to the restroom. Got there just in time. So at this point, we were around 1,600 calories and a little short on our protein. So we had half a protein shake, and that's it. Yeah, just the protein shake. Right. All right, so that is going to wrap it up for day 2. The weekend has started, so I am not on call tonight, which is fantastic. Get a good full night's sleep guaranteed. We ended the day with 1,825 calories, so below our 2,000 calorie limit, and 130 grams of protein, so over our 125 plus grams requirement. So met both of those goals. Obviously, we ran into our first major issue today, which was the stomach ache. My gut microbiome, or whatever the heck is going on in my digestive tract or stomach, is just not used to this quality of food in the standard American diet and rebelled. That was the first time I had a stomach ache like that and a run to the restroom like that in years. And we just barely got there in time and had an explosive experience. So I will keep that in mind, especially for the next week as my body continues to adjust anytime a stomach ache starts to come on, to make sure I am close to a toilet. So, anyway, lesson learned on that front. I guess a humbling but necessary moment, as I just thought my stomach was invincible. And here we have our first hiccup, but feeling much better now. Hopefully, things continue to progress towards a smoother direction. And that's going to wrap it up for day number 2. I wish you all a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.